All right, we have to talk about it. We played Wolves this week. We dropped a couple points. Was it just me, or did this feel even more crushing than our couple of losses so far? Like 2 points we really, really should have had.
Yeah, I mean, look, I have always been a fairly optimistic fan for reasons I've talked about many times on the show. Um, but there's value to in being honest. This one was bad. There's no defense of this one. It was really bad. This is a bad result. Wolves are a bad team. This isn't taking shots at them. I mean, even with the point they came into the weekend on 10 points on the season, and it's the end of February. They're not
Mm-hmm.
they're not good. They are getting relegated. They probably won't be. They'll be only among the worst teams in Premier League history, as opposed to the worst team in Premier League history. So, to go there and not just to draw, because you can justify a draw, depending on the circumstances. But we were up 2-0 in this game.
Mm-hmm.
We were up 2-0 after an hour. This game should have been won. That was 100% 2 points dropped. And honestly, on some level, it is kind of the continuation of a lot of things we've seen really since the start of the year. I to the extent that I want to go too far into this. I mean, we have since the turn of the calendar year, we have I think I've got counting here now 4 wins in the league and 4 draws, plus a loss. That's not good enough. And, especially against an opponent like this, we saw it a couple weeks ago. We smashed Leeds, who is also a team that's right in this relegation fight. We'll talk later about smashing Spurs, who is also in that relegation fight. So to take a team that's effectively already there, to have a 2-0 lead, even away from home, and to just blow it. I mean, I think you'll hear this a lot. Wolves fans were chanting second again. The people talk about Arsenal bottling the league and giving it up and choking and all of that. And I think a lot of that is just stupid banter. It's not really reflective of what actually has happened or how these seasons have gone out or anything like that. But it's 100% what they deserve, for the result on Wednesday. This was bad. They choked this one. And, you can chalk up in a long season to, hey, things happen. But this is one that if they don't finish the job in May or by May, for May, this is one that's going to deservedly haunt them, and it should, because it was bad, which is a shame because it actually started really nicely.
Right. It started off, we did what we tell them they always need to do. They got a 5th-minute goal. It was like whiplash. Like, it felt like it was right after kickoff. It was 5 minutes in. But it was like, my first note of the match is a goal by Saka. It was an amazing coordinated play. Nice, like, bent over header. He nods the ball in that last little bit. And that was a really good way to kick it off.
Yeah, so interesting little bit about the lineup today. Saka was coming in and playing in the middle, which was
right,
just kind of interesting. We had seen that obviously in the previous weekend, but it's hard to draw anything from the Wigan game because, of course, what are you gonna do in that with that? But yeah, he played a little more centrally again today and started off brightly by making a nice run and finishing off the ball from Declan Rice, and it was quickly 1-0, and you kind of felt at that point like this is going to be like Leeds. This is what we should have done to this team. What was that in December when we had that the pair of I believe that was when Own Goal made his debut for the club with a brace.
Right.
I just it's interesting, and this is a kind of thing, and we'll sort of intersperse this in our commentary throughout this. One of the things we've been seeing over the last couple of weeks is the way Arsenal kind of seems to let the foot off the gas after scoring a goal. We've talked a lot about the importance of that first goal, and that's great that they get it, but there do seem to be points and times where they give up, they score the goal, and then they kind of let off, and they're being punished for it. Now, they weren't punished for it right away, but for the rest of the first half, I should say, Wolves had far too many moments where they looked bright and pushing and looked in the game. which it does. This is kind of a pattern that they're starting to fall into. We got away with it there in the first half, and kind of against the run of play a little bit in the second half. We somehow made it 2-0.
Yeah, it was a nice chance for Nkapie, who was able to score his first Premier League goal. That was pretty cool. Yeah, it was handed to him. We did the thing that we've been saying. He scored the second goal to make it so just, some one unlucky moment doesn't result in drawing, right? So they did that.
Yeah. And even that one too. I mean, that was a VAR assist. I mean, the play was called offside. They checked the review. I mean, one of the Wolves defenders was much further back than the others. Once you see it, it's like, oh well, he's obviously onside. And it's a moment that, to a certain extent, it's nice to be able to have VAR and the I think it was the automated offside that clearly denoted what happened there.
Yeah, that was a weird one. I think if I remember right, the flag didn't go up until well after the goal was scored. And from the very first time that they showed where Hincapie was when the pass was made, it looked very clear that he was onside. And it's like, oh, I'm not worried about this VAR check. That seemed like a weird call for him to raise the flag in that circumstance.
It did a little bit. I mean, I kind of... we've been critical of referees, but I do think there's a sympathy we can have for linesmen, because it feels like they probably get some mixed messages on what to do on offside. Because generally speaking, the idea is if the offside is close, they're supposed to let it go, because that's what VAR is for. Especially if it leads to a goal, because then it'll be reviewed kind of just
exactly.
But also, like, they're also told, like, what we don't want to see, right, is a quote unquote clear offside not being whistled just to let VAR take its course, and then play continues and guys get hurt or stupid things like that. And so, in a sense, yeah, the assistants are also supposed to be able to, oh, I saw it, put the flag up and make the call. Like, I get why you might look at it that way, because when I first saw it, I was like, oh, yeah, he's offside. Because I'm looking at Hincapie with the defender or two that are closest to him. And then you look at it again, and you notice the far side of the field, that defender who's a step back further, and it's like, oh.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, the delay is a little interesting, but I can kind of understand where the flag comes from. I'm just glad that justice was done in the end. That's really what I have to say about that.
And they're still clearly working to some degree on the semi-automated nature of the offside review, because we didn't see the graphic again until like another couple minutes later. Like, it feels like this should all be like instantaneous or nearly instantaneous. Like, goal is scored within, let's say, 30 seconds. By the time they're done finishing their celebrations, like, we should have the call. We should have the graphic. Like, well, I don't understand why it's taking so long.
Yeah.
Especially given that we've seen in other competitions, it seems like it does go quicker. Like, for FIFA, I think it seemed like it was quicker.
And there are instances they've told us about, and the league's been open about this. And we talked about them too. Instances where the technology isn't able to make the decision properly because of a mess of bodies in the box, right? Those plays that take place like tucked into the 6-yard box. But this one to me is a little like, if it can't do that, then what exactly is this thing?
Right. What's the point of this? Yeah.
Right. And more to the point, like, how did we not, like, I don't want to say what's the point of it, but like, how is it we can see it work in so many other places and not in the richest league in the world?
Right.
That's kind of where I am on that question.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was a great finish from Nkapie too. I mean, just beautiful, right under the crossbar, gets it in. That was nice.
Yeah, if you're going to score your first goal for the club, that's a pretty good one to have. So congrats to our Ecuadorian defender.
Yeah, so then 5 minutes later, Wolves had, it might have been their first shot on goal of the game. It was certainly their best chance to that point of the game. And Bueno got the ball at his feet.
Yeah, Hugo Bueno. It was no bueno.
Yeah, he scores that, and I see his name, and I'm thinking all I can see in my head is the Bumblebee Man from Spanish television in The Simpsons, and I'm hearing, ay, 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 no es bueno. That's certainly how I felt. No es bueno.
It certainly was bueno for him. It's a heck of a strike. Credit. That's a great shot. It does feel a little bit like in the match. We'll talk about this with the match as a whole, and as a point of comparison, the United game from a month or so ago. It does feel a little bit like that's the best. That might be the greatest goal he ever scores, just in terms of like its sheer technical quality. And it's frustrating that it came there against us. But again, this kind of goes into what we were just talking about earlier, the degree to which we kind of switch off after scoring a goal, right? Hincapié scores, it's 2-0. We decide to let off the gas. Bueno gets a little bit of space and he curls it in. Now, are there many worlds where he hits that shot and it rings off the bar and we're like, ooh, dodged it there, or that he just cranks it into the second deck? Yeah. But he didn't. He put it in the net, and now all of a sudden, there's that weird bit about letting off the gas, and I do think there's an element to this club that's just kind of tired mentally. We haven't had the last Wednesday. I'm using Wednesday as a marker here. The last Wednesday we didn't have a game. Obviously Tuesday and Thursday, but basically we've been 2 games a week. Our last Wednesday off was December 17th. And again, using Wednesday as a catch-all for Tuesday and Thursday. Don't come at me on this one. But you know what I mean. Midweek games. We haven't had a week off. We haven't had a midweek off since December 17th. It's been like 2 whole months of this relentless pace of games. And I think you're starting to see a little bit of we're still seeing that tiredness. I think it's contributing a lot more, not so much to physical mistakes. So there's a couple of players I'm seeing that really could use a break. And I do think it's a fair criticism of Arteta on this point. Like, where was Christian Norgard? Yeah. Like, this is what he was the captain at Brentford. Like, he has Premier League experience. Like, how, I get that Rice and Zubimendi and it's a big opportunity and all that, but I mean, Zubimendi and both of them have been looking a little leggy. I mean, Jurrien Timber, although we can talk a little bit about him later. There are I don't understand that. And I think there's a lot of fatigue mentally. Are all these games sort of catching up to us a little bit? And I think you especially see it. I mean, let's be honest, is really one where this falls apart for us is at the end with the Dozier's equalizer. Yeah,
it was just I don't know that I'd quite seen that level of lack of communication between a defender and the keeper at Arsenal to this point in my watching them.
Yeah, I mean,
it's stunning.
Yeah, I mean, and it's Gabriel and Raya. I mean, it's not like it wasn't as if Hincapié has come in and is deputizing a center back, or this is your starting keeper and your starting center back who have played a ton of games with each other, and they just collide into each other, and even then it comes to this kid Dozier. And look, I mean, it's Calafiori gets kind of dinged for deflecting it. That's a goal. He came as close as he could to actually saving it. I can't be. It's tough for Calafiori because he literally just came on the field.
Right. And if he's not there, it just goes straight into the goal anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just I think there's just a lot of those things going in. I mean, at the end of the day, and you heard this a little bit from them post game, like. This is one you can't really explain away. You kind of have to eat this one. Like, this was bad. This isn't. We don't want to make excuses for it. Okay, the fatigue and all of that. This is a team you're miles better than, and they've obviously given us problems this season. But how much of that is problems of our? How much of that is problems of our own making? How much of that is problems of we didn't play well enough? And
let me ask you about a potential alternative explanation. how much is it that we bring out the best game in Wolves? Like, they know the uphill battle that they're facing against us, and they're mentally prepared to go to war, maybe in a way that they aren't against other clubs. Could that factor in?
I don't think that. I mean, well, if that's the case, then it's obvious why they're going down, because like they've got to.
They've got to bring that every week, no matter what.
Yeah, okay, it's good that you save a strong performance for the best team, but there are 18 teams between us and Wolves. Like, if they're only pulling out their best for us, no wonder they're going down. Like, that's just. I'd be furious. Well, I guess if I were a Wolves fan, I would be furious because we're definitely going down.